Use the Force, Luke.
Live long and prosper.
I was going into Toshi Station to pick up some power converters.
Lilu Dallas Multipass.
Shut up and take my money.
By Grabthar's hammer, what a saving.
One does not simply walk into Mordor.
X never, ever marks the spot.
Winter is coming. You're a wizard, Harry.
Stay a while and listen.
Hey, old Kermit the Frog here.
Bow ties are cool.
So say we all.
This is a Play on Nerds.
Welcome, ladies, gentlemen, boys, and girls of all ages, to a very special episode of A Play on Nerds. I'm Steve. This other guy is
Jarman.
And we're going to co-host the hell out of this.
Yeah, we are. What the hell are we talking about this week, Steve?
Well, this week, in honor of the new big blockbuster superhero film, The Marvels, with a strong female-led cast, we're talking about another superhero-ish film with a strong female cast, and that's the indelible classic Catwoman.
Yes, it was the number one box office draw of a woman-led superhero movie until Wonder Woman broke the record later on.
Wow.
Yeah, up until that point, believe it or
that
not.
Speaks volumes.
Of sadness.
But we're going to speak more volumes and volumes about it later. But for now, Jarman, what have you been up to since last time we talked?
Well, just since last time we talked, I got returned to a homes.com job came in my way where I was.
Good.
Yeah, they cut me out for a while as a freelancer, but now they needed me back, and it's been a ton of work. So I permanently have this kind of low gravelly voice because I'm recording nonstop, like day and night. I'm going to try to get as much out of this gig as I can while it's lasting. And so I'm just recording and talking and editing all day long, all night long. It's
milk it dry, baby.
Oh, yeah. So
Let's
that's been going.
That
But we also had Halloween, and it was a sad Halloween for me in a sense because I love Halloween, but didn't really have to do much at all. But our friend of ours, Pam, who was Jolie's bridesmaid at the wedding and everything, she came over and we watched a movie, which I'll talk about later in another segment.
Ooh.
And we waited around for trick-or-treaters, didn't get a single one. So,
but you get to keep all that candy.
Yeah. And that's the thing. Apparently, a lot of kids go to events now, like they go to the trunk-or-treat type of things.
Dude, my kids did 2 trunk-or-treat things this year.
Oh, there you go.
And you go and it's like 40 minutes and they walk out with a half bag of candy and all you've had to do is like walk around a parking lot.
It's almost like it takes the fun out of it for me. I don't know.
It's incredible.
Good for the parents and the kids. I get it. But
I don't know. But here's the thing, though. This is what I like. People do their decorate their trunks.
Yeah, that is pretty cool.
And do themes or make it part of their costume. And it's still nice. And the kids get to see it and they get excited. And
our buddy Patrick did that same thing too, and I get it. It's just like one of my friends posted on Facebook. She said, "Hey, just a shout out to everybody. How many trick-or-treaters did you get this year?" And so many comments were 0 or 1 or 2, and it's like it's insane. Like I live in a nice neighborhood with lots of kids and families walking around all the time, walking their dogs, and we had 0 trick-or-treaters. And a friend of mine commented on the post and said, who lives in the same neighborhood, and she said, "Oh, that's because there's a big old trunk or treat event right nearby, and there was hundreds of kids there." And I'm like, "Oh, okay, well that's why." So it's I miss the nostalgia of like going to house, and just kind of meeting your neighbors, and it just sucks that that's not a thing anymore.
Well, if you want some of that next Halloween, you need to come here and see us.
Did you have trick or treaters?
We did not have trick or treaters because we went out trick-or-treating. We took the kids, and it was a huge deal. There's so many kids here. It's nuts.
Oh, so you weren't at home to give candy out because you were out with your kids?
No. We left out a bowl, and then we took the kids out.
Nice. I saw your costumes. It's very nice.
Yeah, but it's just nuts. Like, I have not had that sort of trick-or-treating experience since we were kids.
Oh, that's great. Because it wasn't the same where in San Jose where you're before. You couldn't do that.
Right. But tons of houses. And I don't know what happened after COVID. I remember pre-COVID, when we were kids, it was like 1 piece of candy per house, right?
Right.
So then we did this with Joyce before COVID, and it was 1 piece of candy. Like that was the standard.
Of course.
Every now and then you get someone who's like, "Oh, take a second one, it's fine." But otherwise it's 1 most of the time. Post-COVID, people just give out every house gave out handfuls. Or a handful, no less than 3 pieces of candy per child.
My goodness.
And in some cases, it was literally said, take a handful as much as you can fit. And they were like, it was nuts.
Wow.
But both of my kids ended up with like You know those like string backpacks that kids have?
Yeah.
Each one of them ended up with one of those 3/4 full.
That's a lot of candy.
But not only that, here's the people that are klutz though. Shout out to these people. Here's my radical recommend this week. People that give out snacks instead of candy. A lot of people giving out like little bags of chips and like packaged crackers sort of things.
Yeah.
So clutch. We have their little snack bins stacked for like a week.
That'd be great. Just hand out bananas or something.
Yeah.
Nature's
Just
pocket.
don't give out pennies.
No pennies.
Unless you want pennies thrown at your house.
Or just a package of razor blades. You know, that's always fun.
So we did trick-or-treating big. I realized sort of the pain of going with other people.
Oh.
In that we had Dilly, who was slow.
Mm-hmm.
He was just slow going. And so we kind of dragged them back. But then there came a point where like, you know, one of the other kids was kind of, you know, getting out of hand. And his parents were like, and we all kind of went back to their place. And there was this uneasy, like, what are we doing right now? Are we going back out? It's pretty early. And finally I was like, yeah, we're going to go.
Was he misbehaving or something?
No, he just was, I don't want to go. You know, just how kids get.
Uh-huh.
And I was like, I'm not. We're going to go get more candy, guys, I think.
What were your kids' costumes for the listeners?
Joyce was a little unicorn. So here's the key with little kid costumes. Just get them like pajama onesies that also can be costumes. And then they'll wear them multiple times. They get plenty of use out of them. So Joyce wore a unicorn onesie. We got her for her 4th birthday. That was far too big then and is now like stretching out of, like she's just poking out of it. And then Dilly went as a dinosaur, little cute blue and green dinosaur onesie.
Mm-hmm.
Little hood.
And you were an Ewok onesie.
Oh my God. I love my Ewok onesie. That fursuit was so cold and I was so deliciously comfortable all night. That fursuit finally paid off after all these years.
What about Anna?
Anna went as Joyce Byers.
Nice.
In a costume I got her for Christmas. Because remember, I got all of you costumes. Did you wear your Mike Myers costume?
No, I didn't get into anything. It sucks.
You piece of shit. Go put it on right now.
I'll have to wear that and you had the Link costume for Jolie. We'll have to bring those both out.
Yeah, that's right. Oh, man. That was my best Christmas idea I've ever had.
It was
getting
good.
people costumes. But no, so it was just a lot of fun. So there was this one. Okay, so we're going, and there's this guy dressed as Jason.
Mm-hmm.
He's got like a fake machete thing, and he goes, "Hey guys, where do you go? There's some fun in the back." And he like points towards the back, and the neighbors are kind of like, "What's back there?" He's like, "It's just a good time." And then he just goes, "Is there more candy back there?" And he went, Yeah, there's more candy back there." And so I peer around the corner and from like the darkness of that's really just the space between two houses.
Right.
This like alleyway, I just see two heads poking out from the shadows. And one of them has a giant fake knife. The other one's poking out with a chainsaw that has its chain taken off of it.
Oh, no.
And they're just sitting back there like waiting for kids to come out.
I'm guessing you didn't take your kids back there.
No, but it was just so funny. They were so excited to do it that they just were like looking like excited little murderer children.
Oh, they were kids too?
Like, no. These were definitely adult men, but they were so giddy about like doing this.
That's funny.
But no, I said, no, thanks. I said, have fun with your murders. Just make sure you clean up after yourself.
Ooh, that was a close one. You almost got yourself killed.
Last thing you guys need is the county on your ass, you know?
Code enforcement and all that.
Code enforcement, they'll get you. All right, you guys have fun. So that was a good experience.
Yeah, very nice. So it all went well.
Does that take us to some nerdy news?
It sure does.
It's time for Nerdy News.
All right, this might be about a week old news at this point, but I read a wonderful article yesterday morning, and coincidentally, right after I read it, I got a job in my queue from my YouTube company I work for to do a video about this exact article from Variety.
Ah, nice.
And I'm calling this news story Marvel Studios Multiversal Meltdown, because basically, after all that's happened with the actor Jonathan Majors, who plays Kang, recently, a wave of women came out, not just one, but now more women have come out about domestic abuse and harassment. And then also he's gotten reports of being really difficult and rude on set, things like that, which is so sad because he seemed like an up-and-coming actor, and he was going to be the whole future of the Marvel franchise. And in interviews, he seemed really nice. But
yeah, Kang was going to like take us through. Kang was going to be the Thanos that saved us all.
Yeah, but now he's just a complete asshole. So they're trying to reevaluating what the hell they're going to do. So it's kind of funny to think about, but all the Marvel executives went to a kind of retreat in Palm Springs, California, to have like a little meeting over the weekend with like their martinis and stuff, or whatever the hell they do wear their tuxedos or something. And they all talked about what they were going to do. But some insider who was there apparently did a whole interview with Variety about what they talked about and the options they discussed. And so you have like three options. One is to do nothing and just pretend like nothing's happening, which is not working out well for them. So they're not leaning towards that option. The other option is to recast Kang as someone else, which they're not leaning towards either, but they're kind of leaning toward a third option, which is to change direction entirely to a different villain. And the number one prospect would be Dr. Doom, because he is a big thing in the comics, not just with the Fantastic Four, but with pretty much all the Marvel Universe. He's been kind of in and out of all the different storylines. And they were eventually going to do Dr. Doom probably years down the line, because they still need to do a X-Men and Fantastic Four movies and stuff. Mm-hmm. But they might just kind of be pushing that forward a bit because of this whole Jonathan Majors thing. Whereas with me, I think personally they could just recast him because of all the multiversal variant stuff that goes on with Loki and the multiverse. It'd be so easy to recast him.
Dude, okay. So here's what you do. You recast him with the guy who played Chidi in Good Place, who was in Ant-Man Quantumania,
yeah,
who should have been Kang to begin with.
He's great.
You just put him in there and just be done.
Yeah.
I'm telling you, Marvel, please, if anyone is listening, I'm willing to just go on that, just do that with you and be fine.
Yeah,
as a
not
fan,
question it.
I'm ready to just go ahead, write this one off, and just move ahead.
And there's precedence for this because Terrence Howard played the original, what's his face? War Machine, Rhodey.
Yeah.
And he had a whole domestic abuse thing pop up with just one case. And they immediately just averted any kind of controversy and recasted him as Don Cheadle, who's amazing. Don Cheadle's no Academy Award winning actor.
I'm pretty sure that was pre his domestic abuse stuff. If I remember correctly, his firing for Iron Man 2 is because he asked for audacious amounts of money.
There are both stories. Yeah, they kind of coincide with each other, so it's hard to say because Marvel won't say which way. But yeah, his story is that they weren't going to pay him fairly, and that's why they weren't going to pay him fairly.
And then Robert Downey Jr. didn't stick up for him. Is basically what he maintains.
And meanwhile, Don Cheadle's like, I'll take a reasonable amount of money for this role for 10 years. Sure, why not?
Right. And that's how Disney. It's funny that's the strategy that Disney used like in their heyday, like in the 40s and 50s and 60s, was they would do these longer contracts for not crazy amounts of money, but they would lock the talent in.
Right.
And so that's the genius here. Like, yeah, we're going to pay you a moderate $1.5 million per movie, or like $2 million per movie, but we're going to guarantee you 8 of them.
Yeah.
And some of these are just going to be appearances. With 2 of them, it'll be 3 or less scenes.
Whereas Robert Downey Jr. was able to renegotiate, and he made $25 million for Endgame.
Well, yeah.
Which is pretty amazing. But yeah, I don't think they should jump into Dr. Doom yet. They could easily recast Kang, or make any kind of little storyline that it's someone else or something. It's so easy.
I mean, look, they can dive into the Celestial and Interstellar stuff with the Marvels. They can dive into some of that. But like they open this whole can of worms with the spiritual stuff of like Moon Knight and a little bit Black Panther.
Yeah.
And it feels like, are we just going to walk away from that? Or was Kang going to have anything to do with that to begin with?
Not really, it seems. Because then we have like Agatha Harkness having her own series. And she's like, the one who does like all the magic stuff too, and the magical realms and all that stuff.
And then meanwhile, let's forget about the fact that Daredevil is now apparently off the table.
Well, they've already filmed a lot of it, so it's happening.
My understanding is that it might be done, but maybe I'm wrong. Or it's been shelved or something.
I think they're refilming parts of it because they're changing direction with it or something. But a lot of it was already filmed, so
just can't. And this all comes also with Iger coming in and saying like, "All right, guys, the good days are over.
Yeah,
buckle down."
And I had read great articles about how TV was done really wrong, where they're trying to make their TV shows like little movies and not making them like structured like television shows. They didn't really catch on very well. And then there was the disaster that was Secret Invasion, and it just they didn't cohese.
Yeah, Hawkeye was okay. I liked Miss Marvel. WandaVision was good. WandaVision was real good.
Yeah, it was. Loki season 1 was great.
Loki season 1 was good. Season 2's been good so far.
Yeah, besides the Jonathan Majors being awkward.
Some of the TV they've gotten right, just not all, not as much as they should have.
Yeah, they need to like cohese a little bit more, everything together, and just kind of lay back a little bit more.
And then we also have like maybe the Thunderbolts come in. They've set that whole thing up.
Yeah.
There's too much. They've set up too many things.
They did the Starbucks. They spread themselves too thin. They need to pull it back a little bit.
And it's all just sugar and froth.
No substance. Get some baristas in there to melt that shit down.
Speaking of no substance, that's a great segue to our main segment on the classic superhero film, Catwoman. All right, Halle Berry plays Patience Phillips.
For some reason.
That name. A mild-mannered artist who works a miserable corporate job to pay the bills. She's up against a deadline because her company is set to release a new skincare product that's going to change the world. Well, she's in the right place at the wrong time, and she overhears dangerous side effects of the new product where it like melts people's skin if they stop using it. And the villains send their henchmen to go and try to kill her. Well, they end up flushing her down a big tube and she gets murdered. She's flushed out to what apparently looks like a giant toilet bowl, basically. But then a council of cats, including one that she tried to save earlier in the film, brings her back to life somehow. Magic. She suddenly experiences the world differently with heightened senses and reflexes. She quits her job impulsively and goes out as this alter persona Catwoman to investigate her murder. She traces it back to the villains. She confronts him and nearly is caught by this like Beau cop who has meant so little to the story that I haven't had to mention him so far.
Benjamin Bratt.
One of the two villains frames Catwoman. No, one of the two villains kills the other villain. Villain 2 kills villain 1 and frames Catwoman for it. There we go. That's a good way to put it.
Sharon Stone, yeah.
Catwoman escapes from prison. She bails out her cop boyfriend who went to arrest villain 2 after he finally figured it out. But it turns out that her skin is like rock hard because of this beauty cream and it gives her an edge, I guess.
Yeah.
They fight, I guess. Catwoman wins and learns to live her new dual life. The end.
And lots of hip hop music in between.
Okay. So some things I liked. This movie was perfectly fine until one scene. And that one scene derailed the entire rest of the film. The entire rest of the film after that point was just pure nonsense and terrible. But up to that point, this was fine. So let's talk about what was fine about it. So we get like, she's mild-mannered. We get a little bit taste of her personality. We get the like classic save a cat from a tree where like we know she's a good person because she goes on that ledge to try to save that cat.
Yeah.
We get to meet the good guy who tries to save her and the love interest. It's like a good, smart, meet cute kind of thing that doesn't feel crazy forced because she's just out on a like balcony. Looks like she's trying to commit suicide. Like it works.
Yeah. Works well enough.
She goes to work. We get to taste of like the quirky best friend and the job she hates.
The Devil's Wear Prada environment she works at.
Devil Wears Prada environment. This is all fine. And then she's the kind of person who gets shit on. We know that. So she's the one that has to go do this terrible thing. And that's why she's in the wrong place at the wrong time. All of this is great so far. She gets chased by henchmen because she knows a secret. Awesome setup. She gets flushed down. Even the thing with the cats. Even the thing with the cats was okay. Because we didn't know what the reason was yet. It was just something that happened at that point. That was fine because we were going to figure out that mystery later. And by that, I mean, an old lady was just going to tell us
everything
later. We didn't know at that point, though. So then she wakes up. We know that there's something wrong with her. Like she's got these heightened senses. So far, so good. So then she goes and she meets the cop again. And the basketball happens.
The basketball scene.
from that point on, this movie takes such a hard nosedive. But I would contend, before the basketball scene happened, this was a perfectly good setup for a movie.
I agree. I totally agree.
That's where the good stuff ends. So what did you like about the movie? Because that's where my list ends.
Well, tell us what was so bad about that basketball scene, first of all.
Well, no, we'll get to that in the things I didn't like part.
I'd say overall, for the most part, it was kind of generally fun, like entertaining in a sense. Not the worst action sequences, and the acting wasn't bad considering the lines they were reading. Like they were like that actress who plays the old lady that we get to later, who kind of explains the whole Catwoman and Cat's magic surviving thing. She's a great actress. She's been in like American Horror Story and lots of other stuff. She's really good. And I kind of like the lore of the Egyptian cats, the magic that has nothing to do at all with any DC source material whatsoever. But it was interesting. It was like, okay, neat idea that cats find the woman throughout history to like give this power to, and they become like an independent woman of freedom. You know, it's kind of neat. And Halle Berry, even though it's terribly misogynistic, looked really good in that costume. Got to give her that.
Oh man, she looks great.
Yeah,
no doubt about that.
Peak Halle Berry here.
Halle Berry at her prime.
Yeah. But that's where my list ended as well.
Okay, that's fair. Okay, let's talk about some of the struggles of this movie. Okay, so let's talk about the basketball scene. So this is where the whole thing falls apart, because the whole thing is that suddenly Halle Berry supposedly has split personalities. In theory. Because on multiple occasions, they act like what she doesn't remember what she just did as Catwoman.
Right.
On multiple times. So in theory, she's out. She's flirting with this guy. And then the alternate persona takes over and plays basketball like a cat and rubs her ass all over this guy and the shoves, just throwing that butt around in front of just a group of 30 inner city children. And at no point is anyone like, man, this is messed up, huh? And they're like, nah, she's a cat or whatever. The whole thing was like over sexualized and really, really muddled. Like, so wait, is this the other personality? So the other personality plays basketball?
Is she forgetting all of this?
Right. Does she not remember any of this after it happened? So like they really could not decide what this other persona was and what the rules were surrounding it. So because of that, we as the audience had no idea.
And it was just really cheesy, to be perfectly honest. The way the whole basketball scene in general was just very cheesy.
I just wish they would have given it some sort of defining thing, like when the sun goes down, is when the Catwoman takes over.
But it wasn't clear, and it went in and out.
They could have played with that.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then because she like quits her job and says that thing. And then a moment later, it's like, no, I didn't mean it. And then she like redoes her hair and stuff. And she walks in as herself and is like, oh, check it out, my hair. Like, that wasn't Catwoman, I don't think.
And she's as herself on the phone, jumping on furniture and stuff. And like,
they just didn't know what to do. No one picked a direction. So everyone went a different direction.
Yeah. I had the dialogue and scenes were written like this was for a children's movie or something you'd see on a Lifetime original movie or a Disney kids movie. Like it was just
like really simple dialogue, really simple word choices.
Yeah, like it was written for children, but yet it's obviously not a children's movie, but it felt like it was written by a child, maybe.
Yeah, you have the mind of a child. There was no. Yeah, so no discerning mark between the two personalities. That just sucked. That the one lady, like the exposition lady, she was a good actress. I'll give it to her, but nothing could have saved the way they decided to do that.
No,
nothing progressed. She just revealed more and more for no reason, and it never got to a mentor-mentee kind of status that would make sense from a story arc perspective.
They didn't explain where she came from, or like was she a former Catwoman, or no? She just says she just knows this shit.
Right.
Like,
and that's how you do it. Like, oh, she's a former Catwoman and she bails her out at some point and teaches her how to use her power. Anything to make this a real movie.
A real movie.
Why the hell did this need two villains? And why did they ever expect anyone to think that it was the guy?
Yeah, if they had played that up better,
Sharon Stone,
where it was like the whole time we really believe it's the guy, and then suddenly it's a big reveal that it's been the woman the whole time, that would have been kind of cool, but they didn't play that well at all.
It was obviously Sharon Stone. It just was.
Yeah, she was like snide the whole time.
She had too many scenes alone. She had her own henchman.
Right.
Guy, like, it didn't make sense the way they framed it. And maybe what it is they didn't intend to get an actress as big as Sharon Stone.
No, there were a couple of big actresses up for the part, actually. And it might have actually been Michelle Pfeiffer originally.
That would have been awesome.
Yeah. But then she declined it.
No, that was the right thing to do, Michelle Pfeiffer. Thank God for your career.
Agreed.
So it didn't need two villains because they didn't film it in such a way that it made any sense for there to be two villains. All it did was dilute the bad guys.
Delete both of them, basically.
And then how did the cop not figure it out? / there were times where it felt like he figured it out and just didn't care. Like multiple times early in the film where it feels like he figured it out.
It's like, well, I can confront her or I can sleep with Halle Berry. I think I'll sleep with Halle Berry.
Well, he has the thing where like the two cups say sorry and the writing is almost exact. And he goes to that handwriting analysis and the guy's like, no, these are completely different. 100% different. This woman is reclusive and this woman's crazy and loves the party. And I was like, what?
But he says, he's like, it's not exact science, but
right. But like he was sure, like that's the clue he needed. Oh my God, another woman about the same size and build as the woman that I'm seeing right now. And they have almost identical handwriting to the layman eye. Nah, it's not her.
Nah, I can go on that date now.
It's like, you are a terrible detective.
Wow, how'd you flip down that carousel thing or that what do you call it?
Yeah, like how'd you get there? So yeah, how did this cop not figure it out? And then did he just not care?
Yeah. I thought the portrayal of female characters was pretty awful. Because even Patience, after getting her Catwoman confidence, as they put it, she still acts like a giddy little schoolgirl when talking about her beau, the Tom guy or whatever his name is. And like there's the Bechdel test that we talk about nowadays, which is basically, does your film pass the Bechdel test, where any women on screen, are they having a conversation that's not about a man? And that failed in every aspect of this movie, except maybe for the occasion of the exposition lady. She didn't talk about a man.
True. They were talking about cats or whatever.
Just cats. But like every scene with her.
Technically, this film passes the Bechdel test.
Technically. Maybe it's more than one scene. I don't know what the Bechdel test really comes down to. But like.
I wouldn't push it that far.
But like Alex Bernstein, who plays Lois in, in Family Guy, and she's on Mad TV and stuff.
No. Halle Berry went back for multiple exposition scenes.
She did
for seemingly no reason. So there's no less than two Bechdel.
That's true. In here. But like otherwise, she was like, "Oh, I don't know what to do about this guy," and her friend was like, "Oh, he's so cute, and he should go with him. He's great." And like she was so dependent on it was awful.
Yeah, that's the other thing. Alex Borstein's character, who she's in this and she does it okay, but her character just didn't have a purpose.
They had to show her getting sick from the skin cream or whatever.
Yeah, that was the whole thing. That's why she exists.
It's a wasted Alex Bernstein. And the CGI was pretty bad, which I normally would give a pass for, but they used way too much of it, and those cats looked terrible, and they kept turning Halle Berry into like CGI puppet version of herself. Like it looked awful.
Anytime the worst of it was when I think she was fighting the robbers, the guys stealing the antiquities, when she's running on the walls, like doing the corners. That shot was both dizzying and terrible looking. It
was like Looney Tunes suddenly.
Yeah, like Looney Tunes suddenly.
It was bad.
So, yeah.
Oh, man.
Agreed.
So, yeah, that's Catwoman for you guys.
Catwoman.
We watched it, so you didn't have to.
Damn right.
I think I saw it in theaters when it came out, and it was.
You probably did.
It was bad then, too. Some trivia for this movie.
Yeah, hit me with some factoids.
Halle Berry became one of only 6 actors in history, only 5 at the time, to possess both an Oscar and a Razzie. And after her win for her infamous performance in this movie, she also became the first ever to accept their Razzie in person, who had won an Oscar. And she actually walked out on stage proudly holding both the Oscar and the Razzie aloft and feigning tears of joy. And she gave a short acceptance speech, and she said, "I'd like to thank Warner Brothers for making me do this god-awful piece of shit movie." So at least she has a sense of humor about it, which is pretty
at least
funny.
she knows.
Yeah, she knows. A rough cut of the trailer was put online a few months before the film's release and drew such heavy criticism that it was quickly pulled. It was soon replaced with a new trailer, which didn't feature any of the dialogue. They're like, that's our weak point, dialogue. The movie had to undergo reshoots after testing poorly with screeners, with only a month left before the theatrical release date. So up to a month of it coming out, they're reshooting shit. The setting of the film is ambiguous, as the city is never called Gotham City, nor are there any references to Batman or other DC characters. It is possible that it takes place in the original Batman film universe, as a picture of Michelle Pfeiffer as Catwoman from Batman Returns can't be seen in the pile of Catwoman pictures that Ophelia shows to Patience Phillips, which I didn't notice, but that makes it kind of like in canon for the Tim Burton verse, which is terrible.
Okay. I'm all right with that somehow. That makes it a little bit better.
When production stalled in the mid-2003 for this film, rumors circulated that Warner Brothers would scrap the project and instead incorporate the character of Catwoman into Batman Begins, but with Halle Berry still in the role. So that almost happened, but thankfully didn't.
Okay.
The fighting style used by Catwoman is the Brazilian martial art known as capoeira, which I can kind of see now, that kind of dance martial art type of thing. Though a box office bomb upon release, the film still held the distinction of being the highest grossing female-led superhero film of all time for 13 years until it was dethroned by Wonder Woman, as I mentioned earlier. Ashley Judd was originally slated to be the lead role instead of Halle Berry, but that changed up, obviously. And with an 8% approval rating on Rotten Tomatoes, 8%, this is the worst reviewed DC Comics film, but it's tied with Supergirl 1984, which we watched on A Play on Nerds.
We certainly did.
And to promote the film, Mattel collaborated with DC Comics and Warner Brothers to release Barbie dolls based on Halle Berry's Catwoman. The first doll released was a play line with the standard Generation Girl face mold, and a collector's edition was planned with a sculpt molded in Halle Berry's likeness, and even promoted at the 2004 Toy Fair to be released in the fall, before it was abruptly canceled due to the film's failure. The Halle Berry sculpt, though, would eventually be reused for the 2010 Barbie as Jinx Johnson doll, based on the Die Another Day film, in a series of Barbie dolls based on Bond girls. So when she later on became a Bond girl, they just released that same mold that they had made for Catwoman onto that new doll, which is kind of funny for collectors out there. I wish there was like original Catwoman Barbie that wasn't released. You could probably get it for like $10,000 or something, but that'd be funny. So, Steve, you got a bit for us this week.
Oh, boy, do I got a bit. I'm going to call this Feline Factoid Fascination.
Yeah, alliteration.
I just have some fun cat facts.
Nice. I love cats.
Since we learned so much in this movie. Do you know what you call a group of cats? You're like, you have like a herd of cows.
Oh, it's not a herd of cats?
No.
What is it?
It's a glaring of cats.
Really? I've never heard that in my life.
So if you ever see a group of cats, you can say, oh, look at that glaring.
That's silly.
Okay. So cats should never eat raisins or grapes.
Oh.
They're very toxic to them. Additionally, basically anything in the onion family. Onions, chives, like green onions, anything. Shallots, anything in that family. No go.
Oh, I'm always spilling those on the floor when I cook. I should be careful.
That's right. Cats share 95.6% of their genome with tigers.
Makes sense.
So, yeah, so 4.4% between them and tigers. That's crazy. If I've seen my cats do this. I mean, have you ever seen your cat just stare like an idiot with its mouth open?
Yeah.
Yeah, and they make that fucking noise, and I hate them for it.
Only sometimes.
They do that because cats have an extra organ in their mouth that lets them taste the air.
Okay.
And so that's when they're trying to take in additional scents. When they're like, it's because they really want to smell what's going on.
I barely ever see my cats do that.
My boy cat, when he gets real excited, when he gets what I always call play face, that's actually what he's doing. Where he's like really getting amped up. He's like,
what a weirdo.
Here's another one. Cats have 230 bones in their body, which is 24 more than the human body.
They can move them all around for sure.
They can do all sorts of stuff. Let's see. A single litter of kittens can come from different fathers.
Oh.
Which is why kittens in the same litter can look entirely different. And also because cats are dirty, dirty whores.
Well, we knew that.
Well, yeah, I just thought it bared repeating.
Because they're so free, just like Catwoman.
And this one's interesting. So cats' collarbones aren't like humans in that they are much smaller and they're kind of tucked back in their shoulders, which lets their shoulders like free roam, which is what allows them to like pivot their body at such insane angles. If you've ever seen like a cat fall, the way it pivots down, it has a crazy reaction, but the way that its shoulders and legs are actually structured is what allows it to turn like free from its head and the rest of its spine.
They did that once in the movie
down.
with Halle Berry falling. She like turned her whole body to fall on her legs instead of falling on her face or whatever. So yeah.
Yeah. So that's because their collarbones aren't like ours. Their collarbones don't keep their shoulders in place.
Makes sense.
So that's some fascinating feline factoids.
I love it. And that brings us to some radical recommends.
I recommend.
If you have the means, I highly recommend picking one up.
What do you recommend I do?
I recommend Pleasant.
All right, so I didn't do a whole lot in the past couple of weeks, but what I did do is we had our friend Pam come over and we watched a Halloween movie that she liked a lot called Ready or Not from 2019. Steve, have you seen this movie?
No, I don't think I have. Ready or Not. Let me look it up and see if it looks familiar.
It stars Samara Weaving, who is Hugo Weaving's daughter, I believe, or niece. I can't remember one or the other, but she's directly related to Hugo Weaving of Elrond and Mr. Smith, Agent Smith fame. And she did a fantastic job.
Well, I do not recognize this at all.
It's kind of a little sleeper hit thing here because it's really good. And the premise is a girl getting married to this very rich guy. They're very much in love. They both seem really nice. But his family is very wealthy. And he tells her on their wedding night, they go get married, their parents' like giant villa manor house, that they have a tradition because they made their fortune off of board games and gaming in general. They own sports teams now and stuff, but they're all about games. That they have this tradition going back generations where on the wedding night of whoever brings into the family, they have to use this little machine to pick out a card that picks what game they're going to play that night. And so it could be chess, checkers, game of life. It could be whatever, or hide and seek. And so she pulls the hide and seek card. And what you learn in the trailer is that basically, if you get the hide and seek card, that means that you have to go hide. Otherwise, they're going to kill you. The family will have to kill you. And so drama unfolds from there because she finds this out and she pulls the hide and seek card and you get to figure out how she's going to survive. And some possibly paranormal aspects pop up and stuff like that. But it's also just like it's kind of like a Get Out type of movie because there are a lot of funny moments. It was surprisingly funny in a lot of parts. And really makes you just enjoy hating rich people, which is really fun too. And so it's a really fun watch. It's not super scary. It's not like super gory either. There's some gory moments. So if you're not a fan of gore, don't watch that. But it's really fun, more fun than I expected. So 2019's Ready or Not, it was on, I think, some streaming channels, but I got it from the Storks, and it was very enjoyable. So that's my little recommends. So that brings us over some trailer reviews. What you got for us, Steve?
All right. This week, I'm bringing night swimming. So this is not one I'd heard of. What intrigued me about this one is its release date, which is January 5th. January 5th for a horror movie can tell you exactly how bad it is.
Unfortunately. Dumping time.
This was bad enough that it didn't come out for Halloween. certainly is not an Oscar contender. So between both those things getting dumped at the very first week of January, this movie is bad or no one believes in it.
Right.
That's one of the things. So it seems to be about a girl and her family. They go to stay at might be a condo of some sort or a vacation home, and they've got a pool in the back, and she's splashing around with a boy. And then she goes night swimming, and then like the only thing I can give this idea of this movie is that that irrational fear when you're in a pool that there's something down there, even though 100% that there's 0% chance of that being the case. Because you live in Florida and you checked for gators right when you got in.
Of course, like you do.
But this like takes that and it's like, no, there's something down there. And so there's a mysterious creature, force, or otherwise under the water. It's trying to get her.
And looks like they bought the new house and they are like renovating it. And he's like, I always wanted a pool. And so they renovate the old pool that's been there and it had like a cover on it and everything. And so she's swimming in it. And I'm just imagining whoever pitched this movie to the studio is like, okay, look, we're looking for new ideas for horror movies. Haunted pool. And then some guy in the back going, well, why don't they just not get in the pool? And they're like, shut up. We're making it anyway.
I mean, but if you're going to have a pool,
you got to get in it.
Why would they not?
But wait, so one girl dies and people still keep getting in the pool? Yeah. They keep getting in the pool.
Well, yeah, you own a pool. You're not just going to give it up because one girl dies.
So the second person dies. They keep getting in the pool? Yeah, they keep getting in the pool.
They put bleach in and chlorine. They sterilize it. It's fine.
So we're in an 1.5-hour movie about people dying in the same pool. The same family? Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, they just keep getting in.
So I'm like, how's this going to be a whole movie? I don't understand what I don't get it. And the trailer gives us no hints as how it's going to last for a whole 1.5 hours.
No, like you get like one flash of like a scaly arm maybe. But that's kind of it. That's all you get really as to what the hell this is or what it's going to be. So I'm going to give this a so like Raul Julia, he's got to get up, go to the bathroom in the middle of the night. He goes up and flips the light on the bathroom. Gary Busey's in the tub, and he's taken all of his socks and plugged up the tub, and the tub's running. And it's bubbling up over, and he's like, look, we're going to go dance swimming. But I was like, no, not again, please. He's I'll use the downstairs bathroom.
It's always again. He's always before.
I'll just go to the stairs. And he uses the downstairs bathroom, and just as he comes up, the water is starting to spill out in the hallway, and he just closes the bathroom door.
This always
goes back
happens.
to bed.
I'm going to give this a very
in the morning,
very Tucker and Dale versus Evil kind of a review here, where there's a girl swimming around a pool playing Marco Polo with her boyfriend. The boyfriend gets out without telling his girlfriend just to kind of play a trick on her, but then she says Marco again, and all she hears is Polo. And she looks up and it's Gary Busey, and she starts to drown out of fear. And he's like, wait, what are you doing? I just want to play Marco Polo. There's a series of deaths because he keeps surprising people in the pool, and he's just trying to play, but they're so terrified by Gary Busey. They just keep dying.
Fish out of water.
Fish out of water. Fish out of water. Oh, fish dead in the water. Oh, damn it. Not again. Oh, man. So that brings us to the end of episode 183 of Play on Nerds.
Let's join us next time when, in honor of Godzilla -1, we're going to talk about Godzilla -2, the Godzilla with Matthew Broderick in it.
The Broderick edition.
2000s.
The Brodricking.
The Brodericked. Got Brodericked.
So timely.
Well, we're going to Broderick you next time. So timely as we talk about Godzilla and honor his legacy. Until then, come on back and be our nerdy audience. We'll come on back and be your nerdy co-hosts. Thanks again, Internet.
Stay nerdy, my friends. Thanks for listening to A Play on Nerds. Feel free to email feedback at aplayonnerds.com with all your questions or comments.
Shoot us a message on Facebook or Twitter and earn yourself a sweet shout out on the show.
Review us on YouTube, Spotify, or Apple Podcasts so even more nerds can find us. Tell your friends, tell your enemies, we aren't picky.
Check out our entire back catalog and other offerings at aplayonnerds.com.
And how?